Hello, soul sister. Welcome to Midlife Love Out Loud, your one-stop love shop. We have another wonderful special episode today with Jonathon Aslay. He's in the house. So good to have you.
I'm honored to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. As you know, soul sister, I bring on amazing guests that have wonderful wisdom about how to have the best life ever in midlife, especially if you're wanting to call in a partner. So let me tell you about this amazing man. Jonathon is the focus of one of America's leading midlife dating coaches, and he's expanded into a deeper, essential philosophy of what it truly means to love. After losing his 19-year-old son, Connor, in 2018, Jonathon's grief led him on a soul-searching inner journey where he became aware of an often overlooked dimension of the dating conversation. He realized that the process of dating reveals the most common emotional health issue faced by many singles seeking a partner: a distressing lack of self-worth, self-regard, and self-love. And today he's on a mission of encouraging both men and women to fully love themselves with his new book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? And it's packed with fun, engaging spiritual and personal growth practices. And his dynamic Midlife Love Mastery mentorship program inspires hundreds of people daily around the world. This man is out there. He's sharing huge insights about how to have more love in midlife. And I'm so thrilled to share you with my tribe. Thanks for cutting out some time today.
Oh, well, I'm honored. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Really, by the way, it's okay if I say sweetheart. I'm a boomer, so I'm a little old school.
You can always call me sweetheart. Everyone's going, Jonathon called her a sweetheart.
Across a Me Too line, I apologize.
Oh gosh, it's gotten so crazy. You know, I look, there's definitely things we need to do some healing around and some pulling back around, but you can call me sweetheart anytime you want. Okay. And it's crazy times. I know it's crazy times. Yeah. So, you know, you've been doing this a long time, helping people for years, many years, to find love. And now there's this shift around self-love. Can you kind of give us a little insight into how that happened? I know you mentioned your son and how that opened you up. And I'm guessing you kind of went down a very different path to get to where you are now. So if you wouldn't mind sharing.
Sure. So, well, I mean, there's a couple things to unpack with that. With respect to my own journey to self-love, and self-love means self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, all the juicy self words. Really, it's about self-empowerment. And particularly in the dating realm, and I'd been a dating coach for women for about 15 years, mostly in helping them improve their online dating profiles the way a man would perceive their profiles. I started with the male perspective of helping women improve their profiles. My mission has morphed more because I began noticing that women habitually give their power away to men in relationship. Now, what's interesting is biologically and instinctually speaking, that's been the case for over 200,000 years. If you think about it, Neanderthals are roughly 200,000 years ago. And I want everyone to think about this for a second. We've only had electricity for 100 years.
It's so mind-boggling.
For 999,000, years, or 9,900 years, basically human beings operated in the mating realm as the survival mode. And traditionally it's been one up, one down. Men are the leaders because they had the physical prowess to provide and protect, and women were more the nurturers. So that dynamic began shifting right at the time we, invented electricity. I mean, it started shifting before that, but a significant change. And then also with the advent of birth control. And why this is so hugely important to understand is there was a level of commitment that existed, in the past, because there was a consequence to the mating process. Usually, and when I say consequence, I don't mean that a child is a burden per se, but there was some element of responsibility. Okay. Yeah. And that changed around the 60s. And basically it allowed for more free sexual expression. Okay, so why is this so important to understand? And why is this important for midlife? Well, because when a person's in their 20s and 30s, they're oftentimes experimenting with sex. And because of birth control and the morning after pill and condoms and such, there can be a free expression of sex. But once a person starts hitting 30, certainly a man, they might be on the hunt for a wife. Okay. So their way they date is usually because they're looking to find a spouse. Okay. And then what's so fascinating is by the time people hit their 40s and roughly about age 45, of the single population that's over 45 years old, 75% of those people are divorced. So why is that so important? So there's the widowers and the never married that make up the other 25%. And by the way, this is anecdotal. This isn't an absolute number. Why is this important? Because if a man is no longer on the hunt for a spouse, then there's this, what's a man looking for? Well, a man might be looking for a relationship, but the term relationship can mean a lot of different things.
Exactly. It's so different now.
For a woman, it might be spending 3 or 4 days and nights a week together, doing shared activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in your personal and professional life, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy that leads to either moving in together or getting married.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Was that just like off out of your head? Like, boom.
No, I've said this rhetoric for
but still, oh my God, that was amazing. Yes.
So to
anyway,
a man, it might be, and to a man, a relationship might be, and by the way, this can interchange between men and women.
Of course.
But the other person, it might simply be, oh, I'm just going to see you at my beck and call. So the word relationship, it's important to understand context. And today, a man merely all he has to say is, I want a relationship. And within 3 dates, a woman will have sex with them.
Yeah.
And it used to be, there's a saying, women are the gatekeepers of sex and men are the gatekeepers of commitment. So it used to be if a man wanted to get laid, by the way, can I curse here?
Go for it.
Okay. If he wanted to get laid, he had to make a commitment. Now, the only commitment we make is we say we might want a relationship. We don't even have to, we could say we want a relationship, but it's not proven until you're actually in a relationship for a period of time. So I'm an advocate for women to be in their empowerment. And more importantly, my whole entire coaching program is to help women determine the difference between emotionally healthy men and emotionally unhealthy men. Now,
let me just stop you there real quickly. You're talking about empowerment, and that also, just like relationship, can mean different things to people. And you were talking about women giving away their power. So where do you see women giving away their power? I mean, I have my understanding of what empowerment means. What does it mean to you?
Well, so one is always expecting the man to lead the process. That means you're not an active. So if you expect, and I'm using the word expect, the man to lead the process, then you're giving him the job of your, the relationship responsibility instead of being a co-creative partner in the process.
Exactly.
So number one. Number two, where women give away their power is the minute a relationship ends, they hyper focus on the man and what he did or what he didn't do instead of looking inward and and when I say inward is why would you have accepted bad behavior? Why would you accept things that you may not have liked? So that's another way of giving your power away.
Yep.
The other thing is oftentimes women are afraid to speak their truth in relationship for fear that the man will leave them. That's the number one way they give their power away is they don't speak up because they're afraid a man will leave them. And again, this has been literally indoctrinated for 200,000 years on a biological
Exactly.
So we're in a first time of actually being able to say, I get to speak my truth.
Yes.
Now, when I wrote my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. Chapter 1, speak your truth. Just do it kindly. But more importantly, where this really chapter 9 is, if it's sincere and from the heart, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So I encourage women to be in their empowerment in two ways: A, speaking their truth, and B, slowing down the process of sex. really doing a job of vetting a person to determine, are they even capable of being in a fully committed relationship? Now, again, if a woman wants to have sex on the first date, second, third date, go at it. But if you have a propensity of getting attached to a person who might disappear at some point, then you may want to rethink your process, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, beautiful, beautiful.
So I want to address the fact that roughly 80% of human beings are rather dysfunctional in their relationship skills and emotional maturity. And when I say 80% of human beings, the word human beings means men and women. Okay.
Yes.
Women all think that they're perfect. Just because women have a propensity to vomit their feelings to their girlfriends and share everything doesn't necessarily mean they're more emotionally mature or have good relationship skills.
It's true. Absolutely.
So this makes it tricky, because not only do you have to find someone you're attracted to, how do you find someone who's really capable of emotionally and has the skills to be in a relationship? And what I mean by skills is good communication skills, good conflict resolution skills, good listening skills, and the capacity to be vulnerable, authentic, and transparent. That's what I mean by healthy.
Yep.
And when I say 20% of the population, I'm being ridiculously generous.
Mm-hmm.
It might only be 3 or 4% of the population.
Because we haven't been taught that.
Exactly.
We've witnessed horrible behavior, and we think that's the way it's supposed to be. Or then we watch movies and we go, oh, well, that's how it's supposed to be. But we haven't really been taught how to have healthy communication, as well as understanding our own hearts and being able to share from that sincere place and that honest place, because we're scared.
Yeah. And part of that empowerment is boundaries. And I love the way Brene Brown talks about boundaries, what's okay and what's not okay for me. In my coaching practice, I'd say the number one thing when I'm working with a client who's actively dating someone is giving them the language to communicate their boundaries, because they haven't learned it.
Yeah.
And so in a way that's seen, heard, and understood, because I come across, by the way, I identify as my client's big brother. I'm protecting you from the bad guys and trying to get you married as soon as possible so I can take over the family estate.
Oh, that's great. And it's that's great. Love it. Love it.
So emotional maturity, and it's frustrating because you have a greater chance of meeting someone who has weak relationship skills or weak emotional maturity. And then all of a sudden, there's a lot of judgment around women, particularly judge men habitually, and then they give up on the process. So they either turn into people that either give up, or worse, they become bitter or jaded. And I would say a good percentage of women, oh, by the way, men as well. So, and let me just say to the ladies, you're no picnic and men are no picnic. You guys are equally fucked up, in my opinion. Okay? So just own it, and then operate from a place of compassion, gratitude, and love. Okay, so now
that we've got that covered.
Yeah. So the thing is, all human beings have a capacity to grow. It just requires a little more due diligence in getting to know someone, because here's the real challenge is the T word. And that what I mean by T word is trust.
Big deal.
It takes time to build emotional trust with a person. And sex doesn't build emotional trust. Mm-hmm. Trust is not about, and by the way, trust isn't just about fidelity. Trust is, do I really trust this person cares about my feelings as much as I care about my own feelings? Does that person really care about my feelings as much as my own? And until you can actually say that and recognize it takes time. This is why when I continually watch women do long distance, by the way, when I mean time, it takes 100 hours of face-to-face time to build the first layer of trust. And when I witness women doing long distance relationships, or, which is all on the telephone, talking. Men, talking on the phone isn't the same as doing social activities, hobbies, mutual interests. That's how you really get to know someone. In fact, there's a saying, if you really want to get to know someone, go on vacation with them.
Oh yeah, do a road trip. That's what my mother said. Do a road trip, you'll know.
But you can't get to know someone. You can get to know you can partially get to know a person over the phone. But it's a fault. What's happening is a false sense of trust. And then women give their power away because of this false sense of trust. And what's happening over and over again? They're being disappointed. And then it comes back to either being bitter or jaded or giving up on the process. So we're going to take enlightenment to all this.
Right. So as you're sharing this, I can't help but think, what are men going to do about I need more time to build this relationship and build this trust? Because it's like sex on the second date, sex on the third. I mean, I'm not into rules. I'm not the rules girl, but at the end of the day, I can't help but think, like, it takes, like you said, 100 hours. It takes time of face-to-face to really know each other. And as a woman, I'm like, what guy is going to wait for that? How long are they going to actually wait? There's so much activity, so many people online. And I could say, well, I'm so special. They're going to fall in love with me and I'm going to feel safe. And then, but it's not as simple as that. And again, it's, the movies again.
Well, I think here's the thing.
We got to smack men.
Well, smack men up. It's like hitting a shark on the nose or hitting a,
right. Wake them up a little bit.
Wake them up a little bit. So part of it is, okay, so the reality is these days we're meeting total strangers most of the time. Now, I want you to think back to the Neanderthals up until 100 years ago. Most everybody you mated with was within your tribe. So two things were going on. Everybody knew each other for the most part. Number one, and there was tribe accountability. So if you did something like, that big brother, like if I was their big brother and I had that shotgun on the first date, or bow and arrow on the first date, and you fuck with my little sister, I'm going to kick the shit out of you. So there was a level of accountability from the tribe. When you're meeting total strangers, there's no accountability. So you have to recognize that the getting to know you process is even harder now than ever before, because most of the time we're meeting strangers, number one.
Yep.
So what you could say to a man is say, look, I know you could simply say, if this was your daughter, would you want your daughter to sleep with someone they just met and didn't feel safe with? Let me repeat that. Would you want your daughter to have sex with a person that they just met and they don't feel safe with yet? What's your answer? And you know what? This is the time to really call them out on their character. Because if he says, oh, if he starts lobbying, or like if he starts to lobby around the corner to back end it, we have so much love going on between us and there's just so much we have so much in common, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, would you want your daughter to have sex with a man he doesn't feel safe with yet?
Right.
That's where I'm at right now. I just don't feel like, I don't trust yet that you have my best interest in hands because I just met you.
Yes, I know.
That's a problem with
We're
you.
at the beginning.
If that's a problem with you, you can go fuck whomever you want. You're just not going to get my vagina.
Yeah.
If all women band together today and just stopped having sex with men for 90 days, that would change everything in a nanosecond. But sadly, 90% of men will walk away from this person because he doesn't really care about you. He cares about him getting himself off. So rather know that now than once you have sex with them and then he does I'm not ready for a relationship. You know what? I'm going through divorce. I've got issues going on at work. I got stuff going on with my kids, all of the dysfunctional moonwalk. And the reason why I know this is because I've said every fucking dysfunctional moonwalk shit. I mean, I've said it because I was dysfunctional. Yep. I'm still a little dysfunctional. I'm not perfect is what I mean. But I said all the bullshit rhetoric to back away after I had sex with a person. I didn't ghost or disappeared. I just made it their idea to break up with me. Like I'm going through work issues. I'm going through divorce issues.
No, it totally makes sense. And I have been one to jump into bed really quickly because I didn't want to lose them. We have such a nice connection. Now we could take it to the next level, So
yeah, sex is part of now I will say this for men, sex is part of the decision-making process, because let's face it, women feel the same way too.
I was
If the
just going to
sex
say it's the same for
sucks,
me.
it's kind of, it's, you know, so it's a catch 22. Well, let me have sex with them now just to make sure the sex is great. But the
Mhm.
reality is there's no commitment there. So, but, you know, so you're kind of in a catch 22. But here's the thing, you know, waiting at least 7 or 10 dates, most guys, if they can't wait 7 or 10
There's something
physical
much
encounters,
bigger going on there.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It means you
Yeah.
just haven't built the real friendship. And that's really the bigger issue going on, is most men and women aren't really getting to know each other. It's always, how's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day, blah, blah, blah. The text messages are all about how their day is. And then
Yeah.
they share about their day instead of actually going deeper and asking deeper questions.
Yes, exactly. And,
Yeah.
you know, you're talking about
By the way, that's what
strategy.
I teach in my private coaching. Based on your personality, we craft the questions you should ask
Oh,
based on
that's
your
nice.
personality. So that's what I
Oh,
do.
so
Help with.
smart, so smart, because everybody is different and wants different things. So here we are talking about strategies and you know, commitment and trust. And then I want to swing back to, if we're not loving ourselves as women, if we are not connected and taking good care of our hearts and have healthy boundaries, none of this is going to happen. And so I'm curious, what might be 1 or 2 tips that you could offer to this woman that's listening right now to help her get more clear about, yeah, I really do want to trust. And at first, I need to take care of myself first before I go, oh yes, I'm going to just jump into bed because, you know, what are your, what's your take on that for this woman that's listening going, yeah, I'm a little scared and I don't know if I really can keep that power.
So, okay. Well, we got to look at this 2 different ways. I was just thinking about a client I had a conversation with this morning. She was getting ready to have a 3rd date with a person. It was a lunch date today. But last night when they spoke, he was really she noticed he was being a bit controlling and a bit interrogating. So she was feeling something was off. Okay. And it was reminiscent of her ex-husband. So first off is to recognize when something feels off, that's your intuition speaking to you.
Yes.
Now, what she didn't know how to do, and that's why she reached out to me, is what she should do. Well, I said, basically apologize and cancel the date. I said, but what does your gut tell you about the man in general? She goes, he's not the one. She's trusting her gut. Now, sometimes it's not your gut speaking, it's fear speaking. This is where it can get very tricky. Your gut comes to you from a very calm place. Your fear comes from an aggravated place. So that's fear talking. Now, she wasn't feeling fear because she was calm. She recognized this didn't feel good. So first is really learning to pay attention to your intuition. And when you've done the work ahead of time, the personal development, self-help, and spiritual work, you'll be able to listen to your intuition a lot more. So that's one thing, to be in your power. The next thing is to speak up when something feels off. So by the way, you know what she did with this guy? She apologized, she canceled the date. She said she doesn't want to move forward with him, and she wished him all the best. She's not going to go down that rabbit hole of, well, Jonathan, you just never know. You just never know. You just never know. No, you always fucking know. You're just not listening.
Right. And that's where all the other crap that we've picked up along the way, you know,
Yeah.
all the relationships that have transpired before, all the things we've witnessed, it's all in us. And if we haven't emptied it out, and if we haven't done the healing work, that's where but maybe, and if I give it more time, because there might be a part that's so scared of being alone, or doesn't know how to honor their own truth, and the list goes on and on. So the unpacking, the personal growth work, and being able to listen. I love your distinction between the calm, smart intuition kind of going, yeah, this isn't feeling right, and he's not my person, versus more of that panic and shaky and like, this is uncomfortable. Like, what's that about? Where is that coming from?
Yeah,
and to be able to
also
discern.
being curious about, but it's more the panic would be, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing or whatever. That's where panic comes in. Well, because you're giving him the power of the relationship instead of standing in your own power, it doesn't feel right. And again, coming back to Brene Brown, I love what she says, what's okay and what's not okay for me. That's what a boundary is. And so
Yes.
women habitually, oftentimes, the woman who isn't empowered has little or no boundaries. And then, at some point you got to look in the mirror and go, what's the fucking definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So
yeah.
Now, here's the thing. When I said earlier, 80% of people are dysfunctional, there's, of that, you got to cut half of them and they're really messed up. Okay. There's really people that have some, whether they have clinical issues, whether they have some real dysfunctionality in their life, or the other half that are, they just don't know any better, but they can improve. This is why I always encourage my clients to purchase the book, 8 Dates. Here, I'll pull up a copy.
Well, I love it. It's an amazing book.
8 Dates by Doctors John and Julie Gottman.
So good.
Read it. And I always say before the penis goes inside the vagina, you read chapter 1 together before you ever fuck.
Yes.
By the way, I know you ladies love to hear the word making love, but let's just call it what I'm saying it for fun. So
we could say both.
First chapter, which is the chapter is, and I want to share this with everybody because
it's a great book. I really think it's amazing.
Chapter 1, trust and commitment. There it is, trust and commitment.
And what I love about this book is it's something that you could, it's not just you read the book, it's actually something that you can say to this person, hey, I would love to have this conversation. And this is this piece. And I'm so excited.
These are all the words.
Right? It's everything there. And then you could reveal so much about what's important to you. And of course, you're going to hear what's important to him and understand each other. And then you can really have some amazing insights, whether this is the right fit or not. Absolutely.
So
highly
you're
suggested.
Get a kick out of this next thing I want to share with you. And that is, I just began a movement called the dating vow, the vow. Okay. It used to be, we made wedding vows before we got married. So now I have a dating vow. Now I said earlier, and I'd like to read it to everyone. It's going to take a second to read the vow, but this is, get him to commit before sleeping together, the dating vow. And I said this earlier. Have you ever heard the saying, women are the gatekeepers of sex and men are the gatekeepers of commitment? And now really, you don't have to do anything. There really is no commitment. So this is the vow you make to each other. And it starts out by saying, you state your name, agree to explore the process of getting to know you with the intent to declare something serious within the next 3 to 6 months. Number 1. Number 2, my name, agree to be monogamous sexually while we are having regular sex together. Number 3, I agree, my name, agree to not actively seek to meet or date others while we are in the process of getting to know one another, including taking down, taking down the dating profile. Number 4, I agree to speak up if this isn't working for me versus pulling back, ghosting, or disappearing.
Nice.
And lastly, I agree to invest regular time in the process of getting to know you, which includes doing social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, teamwork, building skills, both in our personal and professional life, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy.
Wow.
Now,
yes.
You both have to say this before that penis ever gets to go inside the vagina. Now, 90% of men will run. Now, some of those men that won't run might say it and then bail on you, but you're going to determine a guy's character, because here's the thing. Most men, when they make a commitment like that, they may not feel bound. Yeah, like users and players might agree, but that's a small percentage of the population. Most guys will say, this doesn't work for me. And guess what?
That's
just
great.
Found out what you need to know about him.
Exactly.
You don't spring this on the first, second, or third date, but by the time you get to the 5th or 6th date, if you like each other, this is a great vow.
I love it.
What do you think?
I think it's great. I love it. I have to say, my first thought was it's great. And then my second thought was, if I were to bring this out, because look, I'm a love coach and I do a lot of personal growth work, and I'm already considered kind of a pain in the ass when it comes to relationships, because I have high standards and how I want communication to be. And, right.
Yeah.
And so to whip this out, it'd be like, okay, she's going to be a high maintenance pain in the, this is, and maybe this is my bullshit. Right. But
that's a story you just made in your
right,
head.
Right. It's, but I'm like, oh, cause I remember I bumped into my
if a man really likes you, look at Harry Met Sally. Okay. Sally was a neurotic pain in the ass. Okay. She was neurotic, and Harry was no picnic either. But the point is, he was falling in love with who she is. If you listen, you can even say, look, I'm a pain in the ass. You can say that right up front.
Right. I'm a pain in the ass, but this means a lot to me, for me to trust and to know that we're in this together. And in my opinion, with that, you could also see, body language and how they're sharing about, this, hopefully you would know that this man is for real at that point, if you're presenting this to them.
I did a brief survey to the men who I know who are in great relationships right now. And I said, if your wife or your girlfriend said this to you, I mean, all of them said no problem whatsoever.
That's so great. Because that's so great.
When a man shows up with integrity, this is a no-brainer.
So
when
true.
they show up selfishly, it's about getting their dick wet.
You know what?
Please forgive my languaging. I'm sorry. This is just my style.
You know what? You don't have to apologize. You're a spicy, yummy dating coach that knows a shit ton. Okay. So I know that we're like over timer at this point. I could talk with you for hours, but I know you have a special gift. It's a really awesome gift that I would love for you to share. Sure. 5 qualities a man seeks in a soulmate. Tell us about it. What is it?
Well, it gives you kind of a, for those men that are actually emotionally grown up, this is kind of what they're looking for. Ultimately, what this does is it takes you to my website so you can have access to, all of my free content. I mean, I've got a dynamic YouTube channel. I've got a podcast you can listen to. I literally record tons of free content as a way to feel comfortable with me, that know, like, and trust. And then if you feel like, I'd like to work with this guy, you're already ahead of the game. So get the free gift, join my mailing list. It resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. We're just here, the two of us here to encourage a better way to date, mate, and relate. And by what I mean by better, I mean more effectively, but more importantly, from an empowered place of being in your sovereignty, your self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and lastly, your self-love.
So beautiful. And I highly encourage you not only to grab his gift, but get on his list, check out his podcast and his videos. They're not only entertaining, filled with amazing insights. I've been listening to you for years, and you inspire me all the time. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today.
My pleasure. Be well, sweetheart.
All right, sister. That's our episode for today. I know you got a whole bunch to think about. And until we meet again, take great, precious care of yourself. Mwah.